Washington mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. And AM 630. WMAL.
And so I'm saying that if you don't have enough votes to throw him out,
oh man,
then just shut the hell up.
Yeah, okay, fine.
And be united.
You know what?
You can't be splintered during these negotiations.
And I'm saying that maybe he has a responsibility to build that coalition.
This discussion never stopped the whole time.
It really hasn't. And you know what? I love you, man. Should we hug it out?
No. I'm a little irritated with you right now, but I'll get over it.
It's 7:38. I'm Larry O'Connor, and that man with his anchorman good looks is Brian Wilson. And you are, and let the record reflect, Brian Wilson is not a rhino.
No.
I was joking when I laughed as I said it, of course, because it's a ridiculous
ridiculous
assertion.
thing to say.
Yes, exactly. Right. But you did defend the status quo. So
that's called a parting shot.
Well, you know, we're waiting on Eli Lake.
I think he's.
Oh, did we get him? Good, because listen, he is your favorite foreign correspondent out there. Eli
he knows
Lake,
more about the
national
national security people than a lot of people. That's for darn.
He's
sure.
my favorite rapper here in D.C.
He's a rapper.
Oh, he's a rapper. In fact, Eli, we're hoping that you can rap this entire segment. Are you up for it?
I don't know if I can do that. It's a little too early for that.
Too early to rap. Do you have specific rapping hours?
It's a little too early on WMAL, but that's very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. I didn't know that you were a rapper.
All right. Well, setting his hip hop aside, Eli, for crying out loud, what is going on in Egypt? Please help us out here.
All right. I'd say Egypt's the biggest story out of everything right now, and I'm saying this as a guy who's done a lot of work on Benghazi and Syria. All of it's really important. Egypt is by far the biggest story, and here's what's going on. December 15th, there's going to be a vote on a new Egyptian constitution. In the run-up to that vote, the president of Egypt has declared, and basically by decree given himself, emergency powers that are reminiscent, and by some analysts, even more sweeping, kind of emergency powers that every Egyptian president from Nasser to Sadat to Mubarak has kind of decreed upon himself before. So what we're watching right now is Morsi basically decreeing that he will be the dictator, giving his government the power to protect and defend the revolution.
Yeah.
This is the exact same formulation that has given us kind of presidents for life in other revolutionary countries, from Cuba, and on and on.
This is the incubator for a dictatorship. Does he have the military support, which is so critical in Egypt?
Okay, this is really, really, you zeroed in on the most important question. We know that earlier this year, Morsi sacked General Field Marshal Tantawi, who was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs equivalent, the head of the military in Egypt. And his replacement is somebody who is widely considered to be the one Muslim Brotherhood person in sort of the upper echelons of the Egyptian military. When I lived in Egypt, it was an open secret that lots of people in the military at that point were kind of secretly or quietly Islamists, which is the ideology of Morsi. But the bigger issue here is that the week that you're seeing all of this consolidation of power and the protests of this power that are reminiscent of the protests against Mubarak in Tahrir Square, there is nothing from President Obama to indicate what the United States thinks of any of this at the same time that this is going on. And I am not trying to cast any judgments that it's okay or it's not okay. You see a story that's extraordinary, that the U.S. encouraged European governments to publicly dress down, and you've seen, I think, at the highest levels of the White House and the State Department, condemnation of, step 17 of the 56 steps process to build a road between a Jewish settlement and Jerusalem in an area called E1 of the West Bank.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that isn't an issue, and it's considered to be very provocative in the sort of lexicon of the peace process. But the message is, we know exactly where Barack Obama is when it comes to apartment construction in East Jerusalem.
We don't know where he is in Egypt, right?
We have no idea where Barack Obama is when it comes to this critical set of decisions and processes right now as to whether, Mohammed Morsi is going to be president for life and the new Egyptian Muslim Brotherhood dictator, or whether we're going to see Egypt continue to have a regular kind of transition in power.
I want to change topics if I could, because we got the Director of National Intelligence, the DNI, James Clapper, going to Capitol Hill to give members of Congress a briefing, and it's not open to the press. But where are we on Benghazi?
Well, I think that at this point, there is still, after all the many briefings and timelines explained by the administration, there is still a question. It's a very basic question. It's one we've been asking for a long time. Why did the classified assessment after the Benghazi attack tell us what most people observing the situation with no access to classified information already knew? This was a terrorist attack, and the people who did the terrorist attack had some connection to Al-Qaeda. And yet, the unclassified talking points for not only Susan Rice, but Jay Carney and other public officials told us a very different story. So why was there this disconnect between what the intelligence community knew and, frankly, like what anybody knew? The attack happened on 9/11. Ayman al-Zawahiri, the leader of Al-Qaeda, said, "Thank you for attacking and getting vengeance on the murder of al-Libi, one of the top Al-Qaeda people who was killed by a drone strike in June in Pakistan." We knew that Ansar al-Sharia kind of at one point claimed credit, and then they didn't claim credit, but there was a lot of public information that was available that told you what, kind of what was right in front of your nose. And why did you have this disconnect? And I think that's what really Congress is trying to zero down on, and why was there this edit? Listen, I think there are two different explanations. One is benign, that says, you didn't want to come out with something that said it was Al-Qaeda and risk having false confirmation on this in the early stage of an investigation. But I think, especially Republican members of Congress, think that there's something else going on here. And the other thing, it's not so much that it was political in the sense that, they were running on the theme that,
right.
There's no Bin Laden and there still is GM. I mean, that's one argument. I'm not as persuaded by that.
One hears that it was Clapper or somebody in his office who changed the talking points, so they'll have some questions, no doubt, when he appears there today.
Yeah.
Eli, thank you so much. Always good to have you.
Thank you.
Hey, Eli, real quick, was Nicki Minaj a worthy recipient of the Rap Award for the American Music Awards?
Yes, she was. Nicki Minaj is
Wow.
one of the giants of her time in hip-hop. I'm a big fan.
Well, there's the headline out of this interview. Thanks, Eli.
I feel so well informed.